So it turns out you can be a Formula One driver in a race and not wear your seatbelt for at least 2 laps and not get any fines for it. Welcome to my F1 channel. Welcome to Peter on Pole. My name is Peter in pole position. We're back with another video, and you heard me right at the beginning. Yes, a Formula One driver by the name of Charles Leclerc drove a Formula One car for 2 laps at the Spanish Grand Prix without wearing a seatbelt. I mean, you cannot make this stuff up. This is what you can add to the 2020 bucket list of crazy of what's happened this year. Yeah, not wearing seatbelts in a race, in a Grand Prix race, even for at least 2 laps. Wow, unbelievable stuff. To break down what happened, Charles Leclerc was in a Ferrari in the Spanish Grand Prix. His car span, and we just sort of saw it as like a driver error. But when you go back to the replay, and people have been telling me in the comments that it wasn't him that span, the car cut out, the power, the engine failed. There was like an engine failure basically, and the car completely cut out. Because even when you hear back the replay, you listen to the car and you watch his spin, the engine just cuts out. It takes a while to restart the engine. Eventually he gets it on. Now it turns out that at that point when the car was off and he's tried to reset the car, tried to reset the engine, I think he's taken off his seatbelt, because obviously he thinks race is over, this is done, I'm going to take my seatbelt and get out of the car. Now it turns out on the team radio they were asking him, look, try again, see if you can start the car, see if we can get it working again, because the car didn't look, you know, the car wasn't damaged by any stretch in terms of like physical damage. It was in a perfectly placed position where you could restart the car and probably jump back on the circuit, and eventually he did. Now bear in mind, he's taken off his seatbelt, but he's got the car going again. And so he carries on. I mean, he's plumb last at the time in 20th place. And he's going around the circuit. I think he's done 2 laps until the team tell him to pit inside. I don't know if it's because the seatbelt was the issue or whether because they found something else. I can't remember quite exactly if they just thought there's something else that's wrong with this car. But my guy went 2 laps without wearing a seatbelt. And everybody knows. The FIA know. And there's been no fine. There's been no charge. There's been nothing at all. Formula One, guys, like, you know, let me put it into context, right? I live in the UK, okay? I live in England, where if you get caught without a seatbelt on, that's £100 on the spot. £100 fine straight on the spot. Now, in some places, I think Northern Ireland is £500 for a fine, plus 3 points in your license. Dude, like, that is not good. That is not good. I mean, 12 points, that's it. The license is gone. You know, I think it's within the 3 years. If you get 12 points in your license, just see ya. You ain't driving for another 2 years at least. So, you know, this is extreme stuff. So imagine me, 25-mile-an-hour road, yeah, or like a, 20-mile-an-hour road, a 30-mile-an-hour road. I get stopped. I happen to get stopped. And, you know, they're saying, well, hang on a minute, where's your seatbelt? I get £100 fine there. What about Formula One drivers on 150 miles an hour roads? 200-mile-an-hour roads. I mean, some of these cars turn at 80 miles an hour. You know, so it's just fantastic. I can't believe this. When I saw this, I thought, this is surely not the case. Because you know what? For some of you F1 content creators, you will understand this, that after races, before races, if there's no race weekend, for example, like this weekend, you may or may find it a bit difficult to find some topics to talk about or some content to talk about. But this fell on my lap. I said, this cannot be true. This is not true. And would you believe it? It is damn right true. And the FIA ain't saying nothing. So we're talking no charges, no fines, nothing. Meanwhile, me, yeah, I could get £100 fine on site. And if I've got like kids in the car, or if I've got, I think even if it's just passengers, I don't even think it's an age restriction anymore. If they don't have a seatbelt, it's another £100 per person. Dude. That is not the lick, yeah, first and foremost. But for an F1 driver, I mean, come on. Charles probably got to say on the radio, guys, yeah, I took the seatbelt off, so, and I think, you know, it looks quite complex the way these seatbelts seem to be strapped in. So maybe he couldn't put it in himself, but surely going to pit, strap it on, off we go, see you later. But that's what gives me belief that there was more issues with the car anyway than that. But my goodness. What are your thoughts on this? Should this man be fined? Should he be charged? I mean, you know what, I'm not even like angry about it. Like, and I don't want to see no one lose money or anything like that. But I'm sitting there thinking, this is unbelievable. Do you know, if I ever get stopped, right, and I just so happen to not have my seatbelt on, I mean, I won't do that. But if I so happen to not have my seatbelt on, I'm just going to pull up a story and say, by the way, officer, Charles Leclerc, let me take you back to 2020, August 2020, Charles Leclerc without a seatbelt on in a Formula One car. Not in your modern day Corsa. That's not what I'm driving, but you get my point. In a traffic-ridden London, where you're driving at 5 miles an hour, never mind 20, bloody hell, 20, I'll be lucky to get 20, 5. And I get £100 for that. So, should he be fined? And it got me asking another question. Why is it that I don't usually see personal fines happen? Like I said, I don't want people to lose money. I'm not trying to dig holes in people's accounts. But I want to know why it's usually, it's competitive penalties. It will be like a 5-place grid penalty. It will be a 5-second grid penalty, or 5-second penalty, added to the time at the end of the race. And, even like the Lawrence Stroll video where Racing Point got fined, like, what was it, 400,000 euros for apparently having a part in a car that's illegal, but they're allowed to finish the season with, which could really help them gain points. 400,000, but then, that's to the team. I guess you can't do it to a person really when it comes to that situation. But if a driver does something stupid and reckless, like, you would get fined. You should surely get fined, like a personal fine, not 5 seconds on the track race that time. I mean, that's all well and good, but there's some things, the seatbelt thing, I mean, that is something that you can't even measure by seconds on a track or places on a track. Like, we're talking health and safety at the highest level. So surely he should be, like, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't know what the figure should be, but surely it should come out of Charles Leclerc's account. Something, just sign. Do you know what I mean? Like that, because who's to stop this from happening again? Not that anybody would intentionally take off their seatbelt, but it doesn't set a good example for the younger viewer that's watching, or the next potential Charles that's going to be on the grid. Honestly, this is not the 70s. What is going on, Formula One? I mean, yeah, this is brilliant. I can't believe that I'm actually doing this video based on this, but it's a true story. I'm not joking. I'm not lying. You just Google it, man. Charles Leclerc seatbelt in Google, and the stories do not stop. But yeah, I want to get your thoughts on it. I didn't want to do a big, long video, but I wanted to just get your thoughts on it and see what you guys think should happen. What should take place concerning this? What would your figure be in terms of how much he should be penalised for? Should he get points on his super license as well? They've got driving licenses too. Should they get points on that? Should they be fined money? Like, what are your thoughts? Let's have a discussion in the comment below. If you like the video, mate, if you was as shocked as I am, just hit a like button, or, just help the video out, because, like, I can't believe this is a real story, but it's true. It actually exists. So let's have a discussion. Let's talk about this. I'm just here to say that you can drive. Yes, you. If you thought about getting into Formula One and you thought, well, listen, you can drive for 2 laps, 150 mile average speed an hour, mile per hour, without a seatbelt, and you're not going to get a caution. You're not going to get a fine. You're not going to get a caution. You're not going to get penalties. You're not going to get nothing. Because as of time of recording, niche has happened to Charles Leclerc. So, talk to me, people. What do we think? With that said, ladies and gentlemen, I have nothing else to say. It's lights out. It's seatbelts off, I guess. Bye.